Battlefield 5 is a major disappointment, and this particularly rings true for all of the long-time Battlefield fans, those that have been with the series for at least, I'd say, from around Bad Company or the Bad Company 2 days. And even if you haven't been here that long, you've at least played Battlefield 3, maybe Battlefield 4, and even Battlefield 1 was actually a great game. But all of the fundamentals that made Battlefield unique and special and interesting and fun to play, they've been removed. The mechanics based around teamwork and cooperation and tactical gameplay and playing the objective, they've all really been neutralized as a result of some of these gameplay practices. And I'm not going to talk about EA and their business practices, microtransactions, and loot boxes, and that whole debacle. That's one of the worst things to happen in gaming. But I could talk all day on that. That isn't the fundamental issue with Battlefield 5. The fundamental issue is that they've taken away those core gameplay mechanics that have been unique to the series. And they've tried to replace those and pander to the casuals, most of which are coming over from Call of Duty because that franchise, that ship sailed a long time ago. I haven't played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 3. That's how bad it's got. They've run out of ideas. And Battlefield, what was good, they weren't coming out with a game every year. Maybe every 2 or 3 years they were coming up with something new. But now they've become such an established franchise, and EA's become so greedy that they're doing whatever they can to milk these things while they can. They don't have any creativity anymore, it seems. Maybe that's because of social media, but that is also one of the big problems. Because there's so much influence that these gamers have that aren't even particularly good at the game. You know who they are, these big YouTubers that are literally paid, and they come out and talk about their endorsements. They're paid endorsements. You know who these YouTubers are. They get flown out to play the game early and give their dishonest reviews, because I really don't think that if they had any brains at all, they would be able to willfully ignore and brush over these huge glaring problems that are present in the game. I don't even want to name them, but I was on their streams, and these, I actually got removed. I got muted because I kept bringing up these issues, and this they don't even pay attention to the chat, but when I say something they don't like, I get removed. And so I unsubscribed to all those guys, not least of which because I won't be playing Battlefield for the foreseeable future, and I have no reason to watch their videos because they're losers. They're not even good at the games, and they're paid spokespeople, but they, instead of trying to make the games better, they're just going to say, no, it's a great game. And yet, if you have any brain at all, you can see that they've removed the medic class. I know a lot of people don't play medic in Battlefield, but if you're a long-time player, you at least appreciate you really have to recognize the importance of the medic class, particularly if you're an old school player and you used to play Rush, even Conquest, to a lesser degree now because there's the inflated player count, and so they inflate the score count. But medics and reviving and healing, that is the cornerstone of Battlefield. And this is the point I want to make. When you no longer have the incentive to revive on the game, well, then the whole team play aspect falls apart. Similar to a basketball game, when you rebound the basketball, you are giving your possessions back to your team, whether it's an offensive or defensive rebound. You're giving that possession, you're cutting that deficit of a missed shot, and you're giving the possession back, another lifeline for your team. So when you have players that die in Battlefield, whatever game mode it is, reviving gives you your tickets back. If you're playing Rush, which for some reason is not as big as it used to be, they have operations and frontlines now, which are pretty much the same thing, but they're not as focused. It's not nearly as competitive, or nearly, well, to some extent, it's even more about teamwork. But you'll often find that if you're playing by yourself, people don't use teamwork. You have to go in and make friends that are intelligent, that will play medic, or even the support class is somewhat useful because they can give you ammo. People don't really repair other people anymore, so vehicles are kind of worthless. There's so much isolation with people that just camp in the back of their map now, with tanks and that sort of thing. Planes take no skill in these last couple battlefields. But the medic class was at least the one reliable class that you could count on, because you can't play a game like it's unplayable. Alright, it's not designed for these Call of Duty fanboys to come over and sit in corners. That's not how you win games. You can be a person with the high KD and maybe benefit your team, but if you're not really capturing objectives and you're not reviving people to keep them in the game so they don't have to respawn at the base, and you have noobs that are dying and your tickets are being depleted because they keep going out there and dying, even the good players need to be revived. That's the only way you're going to have good KD. So in Battlefield 5, you can't revive normally. It takes you like 3 seconds to revive someone, and you get killed every time, every single time in the animation. And this completely nullifies the medic class. And this is coming from someone who was number 1 in the world on Battlefield 1. And I have, thousands and thousands of revives on all the Battlefield games. That's all I've ever played. And to some extent, I've played the engineer class. And you can say, oh, you're just someone who plays a lot. Well, I would normally get about 40 revives a game in Conquest. I mean, I'm not going to go into specifics, but you need to revive even the blueberries. I would revive blueberries wherever I can see people and it is feasible, even if it's a dangerous situation. If I think it's worth it, I'll revive everyone that I see. And I'm keeping these people alive, and I'm giving us the opportunity to go out there and win the game. You're not going to win the game if your entire team, your entire squad gets wiped out, and you have to respawn at the base, and you're getting frustrated because you're dying, your KD is getting ruined, and that sort of thing. The medic class is the only reliable class. Snipers don't do anything in Battlefield anymore. They never really had. The assault class, at least in Battlefield 1, was terrible. The most overpowered and overused guns that just make the game so boring. The weapon balancing has got to come back. The game modes are really stale, where they don't have rush, and there's no emphasis on teamwork anymore. Because I don't know what happened to the player base with the intelligence. It's very rare that you have random blueberries to revive you. But no one is going to play medic anymore if it takes 3 seconds to revive someone. There are so many hundreds of times where I've only been able to revive and been able to pull off some really clutch plays because you could slide in to someone's body and revive them, whether it's a syringe or even the defib from back in the day, you could instantly revive them, and you have to have that mechanic because it's a video game. You've got to have that mechanic, or else you're never going to revive someone, and the entire feature is pointless. So it's very frustrating, and that is, to me, the fundamental flaw that no one's really talking about with the game. The time to kill, there's a lot of problems with the weapons balancing, but more than anything, Battlefield was always a game about teamwork and cooperation, and that was because of the unique class system. It was a blend of co-op and multiplayer where you could revive and heal your teammates and assist them, and you had that dynamic. There was the one thing separating, along with the vehicles, separating Battlefield from another first-person shooter like Call of Duty, where there's never really been a dynamic that encouraged teamwork. And now, without the meta class, fundamentally the game is flawed, and they've really shot themselves in the foot, because not only are people pissed at EA, now you have this clunky, I don't know what to call it. It's not a game. It's so fundamentally flawed that it shouldn't have been released, and they pushed the release date back, and they still couldn't fix the issues. So whoever designed this has no clue what makes Battlefield Battlefield. It's back to being a tag-your-it simulator. It's worthless.